Every weekend, Ikea Mania breaks out at Brent Park in London. Of 159 stores in 31 countries, this is the busiest. Now Ikea wants to triple the number of stores in the UK. The key to its success is producing furniture that looks expensive, but isn't.
Do you remember I bought that really nice bedside cabinet from here before and I used it as a TV cabinet?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But how do they do it? We visit the store that never has any customers, as we go behind the scenes in Sweden to see the secrets of the design team, how it finds inspiration almost anywhere, and how it has helped to make chairs as trendy as trainers.
That is really good, transparent feeling there.
One thing that I think is a key to their success, and this is they say this, is that they design the price tag first. And this is exactly what Henry Ford did when he bought the car to the mass market. He said, right, this will be a mass market purchase if the price is X. And then he designed the whole production line for cars around it. It's exactly what IKEA done.
And just like Ford, this company has been driven by the vision of one man. It started here, more than half a century ago. In a remote village deep in the forests of southern Sweden, Ingvar Kamprad began his mission to furnish the world.
Our task was to prove that it is possible to offer products of good design and function to a reasonable price level. That's all. That's the IKEA concept in a nutshell.
That concept is still strictly controlled from the village where it all began. Today, the design of every IKEA product passes through the offices of this building in Älmhult.
You could sit here in the forest, but your workplace is actually the world. Because you have to come to people, approach them, see how their everyday life is and what is happening.
Prototypes.
To meet the needs of everyday life, the design team takes inspiration from the most unlikely sources.
This is not what it looks like. This was when we made a trip to Poland and we came into a factory, and there we went through where all the workers were undressing and they were using this type of lockers. So what we did was to start to think, how could we use that type of material in a new way? And that's when this cabinet was born, which is a media cabinet for TV or video or VCRs.
An inspired idea also emerged from an IKEA designer's visit to another Polish factory, producing industrial fuses from porcelain. The designers came up with the idea of turning the fuses into candle holders. By using the existing machinery, the candle holders can be made in large numbers very cheaply. It's a design trick they use time and time again.
I'm sure you all have had this in your hands, because it's what you use in your chemistry lessons. It's a laboratory glass. Glass that is really heat resistant and can stand a lot of things. So therefore it's really good, for instance, if you would like to make a candlestick, or if you would like to use it like a vase for one flower. This storage box we changed by putting in some shelves, add on with some drawers, and by putting some wheels or casters onto it, it becomes this drawer unit which could be used inside, outside, bathroom, at your desk. So it is really a multi-purpose product.
On the floor above the design team's offices is another secret of the company's success. It's a ghost store. Unlike every other store in the world, you'll never find a queue here.
It is our complete range worldwide. All stores in the world's range is up there. plus the newest thing that's coming into the store as well.
It's a giant test bed housing over 10,000 products. Here, every single item the company makes is laid out for the design team to crawl all over, and not a single shopper in sight.
Okay, so here we have them. They were really good in the colors also.
Today, the product developer and the designer are working on a new prototype. It's a seat with a compartment for storing a video games console.
Sort of TPE or something like this on the bottom.
Yeah.
It's actually consists of 3 different parts. You have a bottom part down here, you have a middle section here, and then you have a lid.
And there should be a snap function, so you 3 parts, and you snap it together, and the lid you will also snap on. So you.
Earning a place in the range is tough. To begin with, this prototype must do the job it was designed for. It has to be cheap to produce, but above all, it must have the ability to be transported flat pack.
But that we have to solve in another way.
When the customer buy it, actually looks like this when it's in the package. When the pieces are in flat pack, that means that we sort of turn the pieces in different directions and we sort of push them together really hard. Then we get a flat pack, so as much flat pack as they can be, of course. So that's how we work.
And also here there will be a gap for the cables coming out.
The cable will,
Yeah. But I think that's we are close in the pre-calculation we have done, and it seems really good that we will reach the price level.
The price is an issue because, as you already heard before on Ikea, I mean, we start with the price tag because the price tags give us a lot of other information. I mean, how many items we can sell, how big investments we can do. Then we come into the design part because then I know how much I have to play with.
They've looked at the business all those years ago and they said, where would be the price points where style design becomes affordable to the mass market? It's exactly what Ikea have done. And they've done it tremendously successfully. They're very focused on costs. They have manufacturing facilities themselves, which means they control a lot of the product, which means they can give it to us profitably, and very profitably it looks like for them, at prices that seem very cheap.
3 for half a pound, isn't it fantastic? It's really stolen the design in England. For me, design, it shall be right and functional, and it shall cover the needs of the normal function in a normal home. And that is what we call the Ikea Basic.
Back in 1943, when Ingvar founded Ikea, modern design like this was too expensive for ordinary people. He decided to take this typical Scandinavian design and mass produce it cheaply. Today, many of the company's most popular products can trace their origins to much more expensive Scandinavian classics.
This chair would probably cost around the £1,000 mark. It would last several generations, and it is the furniture equivalent of the Volvo estate car. It'll do 200,000 miles on the clock, no problem. And if that's what you want, then fine. But if actually you want the look of this and you want it at a much, much lower price, then Ikea is your answer, because a lot of their designs are, should we say, are remarkably similar to this Artec and Alto original. But they're kind of taking the sort of the essence of Scandinavian modernism, but they're offering it to us at a much lower price.
Inevitably, borrowing ideas from original designs has attracted accusations of plagiarism. But Ikea sees it as its mission to seek out good ideas wherever it can find them. Its tentacles have even stretched as far afield as some British universities.
We really try to pick up good ideas and help the students to develop them, because we have a lot of knowledge in-house here. We have engineers and technicians and so on.
One idea they picked up on belonged to design student Alex Muspratt-Williams. In 1999, Ikea asked Kingston University in Surrey to come up with some product ideas. The one they liked best was his design for a child's plastic seat.
It's a flexible piece of furniture, so it's in the same sort of league as a beanbag, for example. So you use it however you use it. I mean, it's there on the floor, and it's come about now that it's a children's piece of furniture, like a contemporary rocking chair, I suppose, like a crisp of plastic.
Alex was paid £1,000 for his idea. Each chair will sell worldwide for around £12.
It keeps bugging me, and it always will. You know, as people say, is that all they gave you for that idea? You know, they probably got 180 ideas thrown at them. And, you know, you don't know how many they've sort of written down or whatever. But I mean, having said that, it was a great privilege for us anyway, really, to have such a huge client bought in for us. So it sort of worked both ways.
In the future, students like Alex will be able to study at an IKEA design academy in Sweden. Bringing young designers together in an IKEA think tank is the founder's dream.
We are constructing a rather big building in the University of Lund for design, as a design school. And my dream is that to assemble young designers from all the world and educate them in what, let's call it in the Swedish way.
A university of IKEA may not be far away, but good design is only part of the equation. It might look good, but is it up to the job?
This here is the IKEA test laboratory where we test furniture to make sure that the construction and designs of the product is good and reliable.
To make the figures add up, IKEA must sell the same product, unaltered, in all its stores worldwide. That's a big headache for Magnus. It means every product has to comply with the safety legislation of 31 separate countries.
Britain have one of the strictest fire regulations in the world for home furniture. We're also working with the Swedish regulation, which we use for most of the world, and we have a Californian fire regulation. Britain is the one that is strictest. This is where we have all the measurement tools for testing gaps and openings in products aimed for children. One of the tests is for the side bars in a children's bed, where you press and then it shouldn't pass through. And that means it's fulfilled.
But fulfilling the public's appetite for wooden furniture is not so easy. For the design team, it presented their greatest challenge: how to make lots of these without using any of these. Having taken a product through the design and test stages, the next step is mass production. If it can't be made cheaply, it's worthless to IKEA. Using solid wood is too expensive, so the challenge is to come up with something that looks and feels like the real thing, but at a fraction of the cost. One idea, borrowed from the car industry, involves taking a form of plastic, injecting it with gas, putting it through a mould, and out pops a chair. It looks and feels like its solid wooden cousin, but being hollow and plastic, it can be made much cheaper.
We say that we are one of the only retailer in the world who start with a production. We try to find new solutions suitable for the customers.
Another clever alternative to solid wood is called board-on-frame. Here, a cardboard honeycomb is sandwiched between thin strips of plywood. This gives it the strength of solid wood, while also making it light and easy to transport. The question is, does it all add up to clever and chic, or cheap and nasty?
It's not competing really with real antiques, and it's not competing really with real posh Scandinavian furniture made out of real wood. And the original appeal about IKEA, make no mistake, was that it was terribly, terribly cheap. It was an easy way to get at decently designed, cheap furniture.
Support for their cheap furniture comes from an unlikely source. Viscount Linley, 12th in line to the throne, runs his own furniture business. If you're in the market for one of his tables, you won't see much change out of £9,000. As a cabinet maker and a royal, you might think he'd instinctively hate IKEA's cheap and cheerful style, but not a bit of it.
I particularly admire the way they make things to that price, which is such an incredible price. Their sort of unstinting attitude towards making things to that price and using the materials that most fit that particular design.
The material they use consists largely of wood veneer and fibreboard. The trick they do so well is to make this cheap furniture look expensive by applying a bit of modern design.
Is Ikea design classed as more or less? It's a clever thing that way. It does appeal right across the board in Britain. Strangely, of course, it appeals right across the board in the rest of the world.
Ikea catches all of us at one time or another. I don't think there's anybody who's immune to the charms of the catalogue.
How much are these anyway? £12?
Yeah, they're the ones we saw in the catalogue, aren't they?
There you are, you open the catalogue and you're persuaded that you can actually change your life by changing your furniture.
There you go. Oh, that's nice.
See, I'm getting that table anyway. I really like that bed.
And you're getting that table, aren't you?
Ikea began life as a catalogue company. Ever since the first catalogue in 1951, it's produced one every year as the showcase for its modern designs. Now the company claims it's the most read book after the Bible.
Today our catalogue has, we print over 100 million copies and we send them out with a main task to draw people into the stores.
The catalogue is still shot entirely in the Swedish village of Älmhult, birthplace of the company, and it's a massive job.
I'm told that this is one of the largest studios, probably the largest photo studio in Northern Europe. We produce 41 editions. We do 23 different languages. We're producing the largest catalog, no question, and probably the largest printed material that's distributed in the world today. With his back to the wall, the other way. What we have here is another studio where we're shooting a young couple who are living together in a flat in somewhere in a big city, anywhere. And that's one of the things we always have to deal with, is the fact that we are available. It is a catalog that's distributed all over the world. So we need to have a certain neutrality so that it's accessible to everyone, but at the same time represent different cultures, represent different people. And we do that. We have more Asian models in our Asian catalog. We have more other types of models in our European catalog. That's just part of what we need to do. Right now, Russia is a new market for us, so we're doing some special material for them as we try to establish. Now, this was a beach house, perhaps a dacha. Starting next month, we'll be doing up to 30 teams, up to 30 rooms like this, with 300 people working in this studio. I mean, it's an amazing production that happens here. The challenge for us is to shoot everything at one time here in Älmhult. We have a 3 or 4 month window to shoot everything. If you follow me this way, we've got white bookcases, we've got yellow bookcases, we have green books, we have blue books, all books you've probably seen before, but all of them are picked based on their color, how they're going to work in the apartment or the home that we're showing in the catalog. So what we try to do is to represent reality to the best way possible within the 4 walls of this studio.
The IKEA catalogue is now even more influential than many style magazines. It steers public opinion towards its own image of a desirable lifestyle.
I think IKEA has been very good at identifying that kind of fantasy that, you know, your life kind of battered, slightly dog-eared, you know, with scars and scratches and bumps here and there, can somehow be improved if you can get your interior right. That if you can transform your interior and make it entirely new, then your life will be entirely new too. It's a complete fallacy, but it's a very, very tempting one.
Fallacy or not, there's a whole new generation who've grown up to believe that the style of their furniture is as important as the style of their clothes.
Interiors have really changed in the last 10 years, and a lot of young people are now buying homes, you know, properties a lot more accessible to people. We've also got the dinky generation, dual income, no kids yet. So a lot of people who are buying their homes, they haven't got children, they've got high disposable income, and they want to spend it on their homes. And homes are really cool and fashionable, and now tables are just as important as trainers.
I like them. I think they're lovely.
Yeah, I think they're really good. You'll have to get trendy, Cindy.
Trendy.
Trendy.
I'm definitely not trendy.
The home interiors market is trying to follow the kind of cycles of the fashion industry, trying to encourage us to buy new looks in the way that our grandparents wouldn't have dreamt of doing. They were given a sofa on their wedding list and they had that sofa for life. We're now being encouraged to kind of consider chucking out our chintz and our sofa and our kitchen and our bathroom, every 5 years, which I think is probably not a very good thing.
So what are you doing?
Furniture as disposable fashion has arrived. The company are even encouraging people to customise their own furniture according to the latest fashion trends.
This is the communication display department. We just give the customer different ideas on how to make it look different, put casters on it, paint it, put handles on it, and that's what we're doing.
In the Nottingham store, there's an air of Blue Peter as the design team sets to work.
We have parameters within which we have to sort of work, but you agree that with the sales team and then you sort of do your own thing really, so it's quite creative.
Selling home furnishings in the UK is a tough market, but the real trick is being able to sell the same sofa as easily in Kuwait as you can in Canada.
If you look at retailers, they tend to be very domestically focused. They don't tend to be very good when they go overseas, and you can see that in so many British examples. Marks and Spencer's when they went to the States, Sainsbury's when they went to the States, they just failed. Ikea operates in, I think it's 29 countries, 158 stores. Highly unusual. For retailers, local tastes are very important. What we buy in the UK ain't what the French buy.
At the moment, British culture is very split between the American influence and the European influence. Every day we're bombarded with American imagery, American retail experiences and so on, American music. Equally, we're also fascinated by Europe. Style is always Italian, French, and even possibly just Swedish. The clever thing that Ikea does again is, in a way, maybe this is accidental, it's not thinking about this as a company, but it's married the two together. The American mall experience mixed to a bit of modern design.
All music to the ears of the founder, with his mission to furnish the world. In the UK, he's only just begun.
It will take some time, but we are still young in UK.
Recently, IKEA announced plans to build 20 new stores in the UK over 10 years. In the next programme, we find out where it's planning to put them and why for some, they are already too close for comfort.